On the 27th of September 2024, during the United Nations General Assembly in New York, when it was time for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech, more than half the diplomats turned their backs in protest and walked out of the assembly. The message was absolutely clear: Israel's bombing of Gaza and Lebanon. But what's the use of walking out? After that, Israel also started attacking Yemen. If we talk only about Gaza, then in the past year, over 42,000 innocent people have been killed, including women and children, and millions have been displaced. The US, European Union, and UK have repeatedly warned Israel that this war could take an even more horrifying turn. One such glimpse was seen by the world on the 1st of October 2024 when Iran fired 100 ballistic missiles at Israel from 1,800 kilometers away. As of 2nd October, reports stated that Israel had retaliated against Iran. Despite this, Israel has not yet been stopped. Welcome once again, viewers, to Discover TV's videos. Before understanding Israel's true strength, it's important to understand the current situation. The Israel-Palestine conflict has been going on since even before both existed as nations. What is the root cause of this conflict? You can watch this detailed video on Discover TV. The link is in the description. Currently, the situation is that Palestinians have been pushed into a small strip of land called the Gaza Strip. This territory is only spread across 360 square kilometers. Getting out is not easy, nor is entering. On one side is the Mediterranean, one side is Egypt, and on two sides is Israel. Only necessary supplies go in, and that only when Israel allows. Because of this, the international community believes that the Gaza Strip is the world's largest open-air prison. Gaza is currently under Hamas control, a militant wing. Last year in October, when Hamas fired thousands of rockets at Israel, Israel launched a counter-operation that is still ongoing. The biggest victims are Gaza's local population, who are being dragged into this war unwillingly. Over 42,000 people have been killed, including children. Thousands have been rendered homeless, and so many injured that counting them is difficult. Gaza, once a city, now looks like a pile of rubble. Israel says this is all to eliminate Hamas' militant wing, and they will continue doing it. But it's hard to digest the logic that out of Gaza's 2017 population of around 500,000, 42,000, i.e., 8% were militant. To escape Israel's attacks, Gaza's local population has only one option left: to leave the Gaza Strip and seek refuge in Lebanon. Yes, the same Lebanon where Israel is currently conducting airstrikes. But it's not that easy. One has to first enter Jordan through Egypt via the Red Sea, then go through Syria, and finally reach Lebanon.
Hezbollah holds strong influence in Lebanon. It is an Iran-backed militant group and also helps Hamas in Gaza. But who exactly is Hezbollah? In 1980, during Lebanon's civil war, Israel occupied South Lebanon. To counter Israel, an armed group emerged, named Hezbollah. This group drove Israel out of Lebanon and has since become a powerful political and militant wing in Lebanon. Experts say this group is even more powerful than Lebanon's army and is supported by Iran. Ever since Hezbollah came into existence, it has posed a constant threat to Israel, and their clashes have become a routine. But after last year's attacks in Gaza, Hezbollah openly declared its support for Palestinians. Now, a new problem rose for Israel, because while attacking Gaza was relatively easy, now they also had to respond to Hezbollah in Lebanon. For a direct attack on Lebanon, Israel needed a solid reason. Experts believe this is when they planned the pager attacks. On the 17th and the 18th of September 2024, over 3,000 pagers and radio sets of Hezbollah exploded simultaneously. A detailed video on this is available separately on Discover TV. Hezbollah blamed Israel for the attack and also fired several rockets at Israel. The moment they were waiting for had arrived. Israel immediately launched airstrikes on South Lebanon the next day, forcing thousands to flee their homes. In this operation, Hezbollah commander Hassan Nasrallah was killed. On the other hand, countries across the world have tried to end the conflict before the Middle East situation worsens further, and many countries have strongly criticized Israel. As for aid, massive support for Gaza has been announced globally. Speaking of just the US, according to Reuters, on the 30th of September 2024, the US announced aid for Palestinians in Gaza. On the 7th of March 2024, US President Joe Biden announced the construction of a military port in Gaza for assistance, and on the 27th of the same year, USAID announced an emergency aid of $53 million. Such announcements can be found across various news websites. But while most of the world's countries are criticizing Israel, Israel is intensifying its attacks. The question rises, why is this small country surrounded by Arab nations not coming under control? This issue has been raised 3 times in the past year in the United Nations Security Council. Different country representatives participate in the UN Security Council, and decisions are made through voting, which the member countries are then obligated to accept. But all 3 times, when a ceasefire agreement was passed, the US used its veto power to reject the decision. Yes, the same US that had announced aid worth millions of dollars for Gaza. In June 2024, the US itself filed a ceasefire agreement, which was passed in the Security Council but was later vetoed again. On one side, President Joe Biden says war is not in anyone's interest, and on the other side, the US uses its veto powers in the UN. Not only that, but according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, between 2019 and 2023, 69% of all weapons imported by Israel were from the US. Moreover, the US gives $3.8 billion in military aid to Israel every year. This information is publicly available. People say the US talks about stopping attacks in Gaza while simultaneously supporting Israel. That is why instead of de-escalation, the war is intensifying and could take a disastrous shape in the Middle East in the future. But here's the crucial question. Why is America doing this? The answer connects to religion. According to research by Wheaton College in the US, a significant population around 35 to 40% fully believes in and follows the Bible. Many among them believe that the creation of Israel is in line with the Bible. In America, there is an organization whose purpose is to protect Israel and advocate for Jews. This organization is called CUFI Christians United for Israel. It has 10 million members globally, including many prominent names from American politics. This Christian group is also referred to as Zionist. Remember, Christianity is a religion, Judaism is another, and Zionism is a political movement that supports Israel. Most importantly, not every Jew or Christian is a Zionist. This Zionist group influences decisions in American politics or government through a separate committee called AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It is the largest and most powerful lobbying committee in the world, capable of getting any decision passed in the US Congress. All decisions, laws, budgets, and war authorizations are made in the US Congress through voting. Now, if a large group buys off most members of Congress and tells them to vote in favor of certain resolutions, that's called lobbying. Surprisingly, lobbying is completely legal in the US. But there are conditions. The lobbyist must keep all details public and cannot pay any Congress member under the table. Everything must happen openly. AIPAC's website clearly states that this group lobbies to implement Israeli policies in the US government. Not only that, but 98 of the candidates in the US general elections who had AIPAC's support won their elections and were given $4 million. This group not only promotes Israel-friendly policies in American politics, but also works to defeat those who oppose Israel. Their website states that they have defeated 24 such candidates who oppose pro-Israel policies. AIPAC's support for Israel has now taken a dangerous form. Here's what happened. Due to Israel's bombings and human rights violations in Gaza, South Africa filed a case at the International Criminal Court ICC, which is a part of the United Nations but not under direct US control. 200 comments for second part.